So what part of shall not be infringed is hard to understand? You know, Clarence Thomas has said it repeatedly. Why is the Second Amendment guaranteeing the right to defend yourself? I'm going to read it here, by the way, for the leftists who seem to have a problem with the English language. I don't know how we have to do this. We have to do it in Pig Latin, in Swahili. I'm not sure, like, what part of this is difficult to understand. Amendment 2, Bill of Rights. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, comma, shall not be infringed. He was kind enough to highlight that portion for us because liberals and politicians in black robes pretending to be judges and justices can't seem to read shall not be infringed. You're free to try to overturn the Second Amendment through another constitutional amendment. Good luck with that. It'll never work. But they don't want to do that. Well, what's the good news? I'm trying to give you some good news today. We got the Maricopa County audit. We got Donald Trump coming on tomorrow. We've got the Supreme Court finally, Wall Street Journal, agreeing to take a big Second Amendment case. Finally, only took them forever. Wall Street Journal, gun rights return to the Supreme Court. The justices might finally stop lower court judges from hollowing out the landmark Heller ruling. So what happened? In the Heller ruling, D.C. versus Heller, it was decided that this Second Amendment, it wasn't decided. I don't know why we have to say this decided. Like, all I have to do is read it. It was decided that the Second Amendment is an individual right. Again, if you just read the Constitution, you'd know that. And that commonly available firearms should be available to people who want to purchase them. That's a very simplistic reading of it. Since then, the Ninth Circuit and other judges have decided they were going to hollow that out. So what's the deal with this lawsuit and why does this matter? Well, New York State has decided that shall not be infringed somehow means shall be infringed at all costs. How they read that, I don't know. But New York State, they only wanted to give licenses for, quote, proper cause. You can see from this screenshot from the Wall Street Journal piece. So you needed, in order to exercise your right that shall not be infringed, somehow New York State read in that, let's put infringements on that right. Again, I don't understand it. Maybe if you're a liberal, that makes sense to you. But, you know, brain cells, dendrites, and axons are not necessarily your thing all the time. So from the piece, New York State bans carrying a handgun openly. Concealed carrying is allowed with a license. I don't recall seeing that in the Constitution. But to get one, the general public must show, quote, proper cause. It means some special need for self-protection. And living in a high crime area doesn't count, folks. The state makes it virtually impossible for the ordinary law-abiding citizen to obtain a license, said the petitioners in New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Corlett. This is difficult to square with the Second Amendment, which, quote, protects the right of the people to keep and bear arms and, quote, shall not be infringed. Let me just throw that in there. It's called the Bill of Rights for a reason, folks. As I said repeatedly on the show and in interviews and in debates with leftists, it's not called the Bill of Needs or the Bill of what the government thinks you need. It's called the Bill of Rights with a big capital R, meaning they're your rights, not the government's. The Bill of Rights is a document of basically negativities, what the government can't do to you. Shall not be infringed, shall not establish an official religion. Read the Bill of Rights again. Shall not force soldiers to be quartered in your home. It's a document indicating, or portions of a document that indicate what the government can't do to you. So it's really weird that New York State would read shall not be infringed into meaning let's put a bunch of obstacles and infringements in front of people having the right to protect themselves, even if they live in high crime areas. Listen, I'm out of the predictions game, especially with John Roberts, who is absolutely dreadful on the Supreme Court. But let's hope Amy Coney Barrett and Brett Kavanaugh finally show the constitutional bona fides we need. This case could be huge because if it throws out some of these requirements, it could reestablish constitutional carry, which was the original intention of the founders, if you clearly read the Second Amendment. Folks, I'm very passionate about the Second Amendment because, as I said before, having spent an entire lifetime with firearms, I have a lot of them. Just picked up another one. I get very upset when people who know nothing about firearms try to debate you on the issue and bring up a bunch of straw men, fairy tales, and lies. That is the entire leftist approach to arguing for gun control, which doesn't even exist. There's no such thing. Straw man, lies, nonsense. That's what they do. So this morning I was thinking about how I was going to put this segment together. And I remembered this debate I had. Oh, let me give you just a quick backstory on this little gem. So there's this guy, Bruce DePoit, a nice enough guy, but I don't know his politics. I'm assuming he leans left, but I don't know that. He used to invite me down to Virginia on this news station to debate a lot, and I love to do it. So one day he asked me, this is about 10 years ago. I know I look very young if you want to watch the video, rumble.com/Bongino if you like to watch the video here. He shoots me an email and says, do you want to debate this guy, Vinny DeMarco, who is a notorious gun grabber, who doesn't know anything about actual guns but loves grabbing them from you? I said, yes, I love that. So let me just, for all the people thinking about running for office, starting a blog, a podcast, or if you ever want to go on TV and debate a leftist, can I just give you one tip? The quick backstory about this. I meet with this guy, Vinny DeMarco, right, in the green room before we go out, and he's trying to talk to me. He probably doesn't remember this, but I do. Don't talk to them. Don't make any friends in the green room. Don't do it. Because what these leftists do in the green room, if you ever do media, run for office or anything, is they try to soften you up. Hey, Barry. They try to be like your pal. So, because they don't know anything. So when you go out there, you'll be nice and cutesy to them. I don't do cutesy time. Cutesy time's not my thing. Big negative on cutesy time. Okay. I wouldn't talk to this dude. I think I said, hey, what's up? That was it. Put some headphones in your ear and let him go get his coffee in the green room. Because then when you go out there, it's game time. This was game time. Here's number one. Clip number one from this. Bruce, the host, and this Vinny guy were arguing about how gun control, quote, saves lives. They have no evidence to prove any of this, of course. Matter of fact, gun ownership's gone up and crime and gun crime per capita, everything has gone down. So here's clip number one where I was having about enough of these guys. It was early in the morning when I had done that. I'd woken up early to get there. Check this out.
And I want to emphasize this. Gun owners need not fear that this is going to turn into a gun ban because the Supreme Court said we can't do that. It is a reasonable measure. 80% of Americans, of Marylanders, including 64% of Republicans, support this fingerprint-based licensing. The legislature should enact it.
Reasonable?
No. Vinny uses a common tactic. Again, we're going to save lives. You know, Vinny can't guarantee me anything, I assure you. The only thing Vinny can guarantee me is that criminals don't care about what Vinny says about gun laws. Now, law-abiding citizens, which is what Vinny, with the law he's supporting, which is 281, SB 281 in Maryland, that will affect law-abiding gun owners, and there is an assault weapons ban written in there. That is absolutely not accurate. There's a long list of weapons that, by the way, I don't know, Vinny, have you ever been on the street and used weapons, fired weapons? I was a police officer in the Secret Service agent. Do you realize that a lot of these weapons are just banned because they're really scary looking? They're not based on any ballistic capability of the actual round. There is no science in this at all.
Do you take issue with the phrase assault weapon?
Go after these people at all costs. Again, I'm really sorry. Cutesy time's over. I don't do done. I'm not, oh, well, listen, I'm just going to dial this one in. We lost. I'm back. I'm never stopping, ever. Ever, ever. Do not be nice to these people. You don't have to be rude, but nicey cutesy time is over. You're trying to take away my right to defend myself and my family, and you want to have coffee clutches in the green room? Hey, let's have a cup of coffee and make a good... No. I'm sorry, folks. This isn't like 1980s WWF wrestling here. This isn't an act for me. This is real. And it's not an act for you either. Go after them. Every single time in debates. Every time. Don't let them get away with anything. Now, that's cut one. I bring up cut one because Vinny there quickly realized he was in a little bit of trouble. I think he thought I was a moron, which is okay. You're allowed to think that. It is a free. I'm not a totalitarian like the leftists. I'm not going to track you down for thinking that or ban you from YouTube like YouTube does. I'm sure we'll be banned from the Trump interview, by the way, tomorrow, too, from YouTube. Don't worry. It works right into our marketing plan at Rumble. Just go watch it on Rumble. Don't you worry. Here's clip number two from this, where Vinny and the host, they try to get away with the old high-capacity magazines when they really mean standard capacity magazines line. And they try to get away with the correlation myth. What is the correlation myth? that if two variables move at the same time, that means one caused the other. Correlation does not mean causation, folks. I wasn't going to have any of that from Vinny. Check this one out.
Chief Lanier, who is here every month, says basically what Vinny just said, that if we restrict the magazines, then when you have someone who's deranged or evil and they're going to spray the town square with whatever weapon they have, they're going to have to stop and reload at some point, and there's an opportunity to reduce.
You sure? So they're going to use a 10-round magazine, not the hundreds of millions of 30-round magazines that are out there. You know who's going to use the 10-round magazine? The good guy who abides by the law. This is absurd. You guys talk about this as if criminals actually care what you think. I was on the street for 17 years. Vinny points out selectively correlational data he knows I could point out as well. Brazil has the toughest gun control laws in the world. They also have assassinations on the street. Have you ever seen someone shot? Yeah, I have.
We're talking about the United States.
No,
we're talking about comparing
you're cherry
the United
picking
States.
data. No, because correlation does not equal causation. If you take a statistics course, you realize that. Just because data are people get a lot more colds in the winter. It's not because it's cold.
State trooper from New Jersey.
Don't let them get away with anything. High capacity magazine. You mean standard capacity magazines? You mean the tens or 20s or hundreds of millions of magazines out there now? The criminals are going to stick with the 10-rounders, right? The 10-rounders you demanded in California. While you really believe that? Like, who told you that? Did you read that? Did you read that in some fairy tale book? Did you read that in some children's book written by Vinny? Like, who exactly told you that? Have you ever been on the street? Criminals don't care about your magazine restrictions. These suckers will fall for anything. They will fall for anything. Don't let them get away with anything. No cutesy time. I don't do done. Forget done. I don't do doneness. And you shouldn't do done either. Every single time, stop them immediately. No straw man, lie, fairy tale, or myth. Stop them right away. Here's the third one. It's two more. They're quick, I promise you. But I just find it amusing because, again, it's going to be a big case now. You're going to see the Second Amendment back in the news with this case. And all of this stuff's going to keep coming up during the Biden presidency. Gun control, high-capacity magazines, correlation myths. Here was just an interesting one where the host, this one's fascinating because when they can't win an argument, they typically bring up things that they know very little about with using buzz terms. You'll see what I mean after you watch this clip. Check out when you see the buzz term right in the beginning about the bullets. Check this out.
As a former law enforcement person, as a Secret Service person prior, would you not support a ban on the so-called cop killer bullets? Or are they mislabeled?
What are you talking about? Hollow point rounds? Well, what makes them any more dangerous than full metal jacket rounds? I mean, again, this is not based on science. It's who's going to say no to cop killer bullets? What are you talking about? The grain? Are you talking about the jacket? The answer is you probably don't know, and neither does the person who put the label cop killer bullets on. Who is going to say no to that?
No, you see. Do you support cop killer bullet? Who's going to say yes to that? They do this all the time. Do you support weapons of war on the street? Weapons of war. What do you stop again? Time out. Hold on. Red flag. There's laundry on the field, folks. Laundry on the field. Holding. What is this? Holding 10 yards or 15 yards? I always get it wrong. Offense. Don't let them play the rhetorical tricks. Do you support cop killer bullets? What are you talking about? Please describe to me what you mean. Do you support weapons of war? Please describe what a weapon of war is, please. I'll give Bruce some credit. He says, or are they fairly mislabeled? Yes, you just mislabeled them. You just did that.